Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today. And today we're going to be talking about the Philadelphia 76ers potentially re-signing Quentin Grimes. It was reported today by Mark Stein and Bleacher Report that Philadelphia wants to extend Quentin Grimes this offseason to a long-term deal. They traded for Quentin Grimes during the trade deadline, gave up some draft picks and got some draft picks back as well. These are second-round picks, and gave up Caleb Martin, who they signed to a 3 or 4 year deal in order to get Quentin Grimes. And look, I think when they originally brought him in, they were seeing him as a guy that would potentially come off the bench and help out for this team, and not potentially, and maybe potentially start if they needed it. And injuries started to happen more for this team. Tyrese Maxey's missed a lot of time recently, and he started to play really well for this Philadelphia 76ers team, and he started 19 of his 22 games as a Sixer. He really, the only games he came off the bench were really his first 3 games as a Sixer, and then started to start and hasn't looked back since, and he's played amazing. 22 points per game so far as a Sixer, and shooting great from 3 as well, and has had 40-point performances against the Warriors and the Rockets. And also keep in mind, the Warriors in the last couple months have been one of the best defensive teams in all of basketball, and then the Rockets have been one of the best teams in basketball all season. So Quentin Grimes, had the 2 best games of his career against 2 really good defenses this season, and he's played great. I'll say the one thing that pisses me off. I love Quentin Grimes because I'm a Houston Cougars fan. The one thing that pisses me off when I hear people say this, when they compare him to Jeremy Lin, this is like this is the best thing, or like comparing it to the Jeremy Lin's Linsanity run. That's, to me, that's crazy, because if you look at Jeremy Lin, he really came out of nowhere. It was like no one knew who he was before that. I mean, he'd played before that crazy run he had with the Knicks. He had played a little bit with Golden State the year prior, but he barely played at all. I mean, he was a bench player before. But not like Quentin Grimes. He was a bench player, but he was before this. But he was a player that came off the bench and actually helped and would start from time to time. But he actually had a role on the bench, whether it was in Dallas this year or it was in New York in years prior. Now you look at Jeremy Lin. Now he for real came. He actually came out of nowhere. But it doesn't change that that Quentin Grimes is what he's done, because he's been great. But look, he was playing great in Dallas this year. Was averaging 11 points off the bench in Dallas. This doesn't come close to what he's doing now, but he was playing great basketball in Dallas. He played great basketball in New York. So it's not like this was out of nowhere. And so that's the only thing that pisses me off. Quentin Grimes has always had talent. He had talent in Houston. And I don't think people say he never had talent, but I think that Philadelphia has just given him the chance to get more minutes, and I feel like this could have happened in Dallas. Honestly, this probably would be happening in Dallas, right now as well. If they didn't trade him, well, I know they're getting a little bit more healthy now. They got AD back. They should be getting Lively and Gafford back. But, you're without Kyrie. You're without a lot of guards. So I feel like if Dallas would have kept him, this would be happening in Dallas as well. I mean, and he was playing great basketball in Dallas beforehand. So, look, I think that the people that say that this is like Jeremy Lin's Linsanity run, it's not like that. But it's still, what he's doing right now in Philadelphia is really impressive, and I think it'd be interesting to see what kind of deal Philadelphia to re-sign him to. I think the thing you got to consider is, next season you gotta go into next season as preparing that Tyrese Maxey and Jared McCain are going to be healthy. I mean, look, I think you don't ever want to prepare for Joel Embiid or Paul George to be healthy, but I think it's safe to assume that Jared McCain and Tyrese Maxey stay healthy. Tyrese Maxey before this season hasn't really had injury problems. Jared McCain's in his rookie year. I know he had the foot injury, but
I don't think he's going to have injury problems as his career goes on. I could be wrong, but so I think those guys will stay. If those guys stay healthy next year, what does Quentin Grimes' role look like on this team? Because I feel like Jared McCain has so much talent. We saw it in his rookie year, and if that continues for him, then I know he's coming off the bench, a little bit for Philadelphia, was starting a little bit. I think if that continues for him and the Sixers team, you got to look at Jared McCain starting. And if Maxey and McCain are starting, and that's the 1 and 2 in the lineup, do you want to go that small and have Quentin Grimes at the 3? Or do you want him to come off the bench? And for also, if Quentin Grimes, are you going to pay a lot of money? Because Quentin Grimes is going to want a lot of money. You're going to pay a lot of money for a guy that's going to come off the bench. That's something you got to think about before re-signing Quentin Grimes. And and he's going to get a lot of others. He's going to get a lot of other offers elsewhere for him to potentially go and play for the same amount of money to start somewhere else. Because honestly, I don't know. Maybe he starts off next season being a starter in Philadelphia, but if Jared McCain continues to show his potential, he's not going to be a starter much long in Philadelphia with Maxey and McCain. That's just my opinion. I mean, I don't think you really would want to run that. You don't want to be that small in a starting lineup and have Jared, Maxey, and Quentin Grimes in the same lineup. I think that's too small of a lineup, but that's just my opinion. But let me know your thoughts on Philadelphia potentially extending or re-signing Quentin Grimes this offseason. I think it'd be a smart thing, but I think you got to be careful with the money he asks for. He has played great basketball within this season, and that makes his value higher. And so you got to be careful with that. And also, you got to potentially, figure out what his role is before I think giving him a contract. Maybe does he start off the season as a starter and you see what happens with McCain? Do you just start the season off of coming off the bench? I don't think he's going to re-sign in Philadelphia if it's not a starting role. But that's just my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out.